What up? It's Dramos. On tonight's show, we have music artist, fashion designer, and overall creative Theophilus London joining us. You've seen him working with Kanye West, Virgil Abloh. We'll talk about all that good stuff. Also, I'll be going live with Hector Oseguera, who's running for Congress in New Jersey. He'll talk to us about the shit show that is U.S. politics right now. We'll also talk messy, open relationships. And surprise, surprise, our president, he's a racist. Let's get into it. It's what the world needs now. What the world needs now, the first ever late night show for the people, by the people. Man, so much going on in the world right now, man. Before I get into anything, though, as we usually do, I like to start off with some positivity. So today's one, it's actually not a quote, more so just like a statement. I read J Balvin recently did an article for People magazine. He was talking about meditation, but that obviously led into a conversation more so about mental health. And I love this, little blurb I pulled from it that he said. And what he said in the article was, what makes mental health universal is that it does not discriminate. Mental health doesn't care about your age, your race, or your background. None of those things. It doesn't care what you look like or who you're dating or how much money you have in the bank. Of course, it's different for each of us, but it affects all of us. And I just thought that was something incredibly powerful to hear somebody like that say. I mean, whenever, somebody who's incredibly successful, like a J Balvin is, and you think that this person has obviously the perfect life and has everything they could possibly want in this life, to hear them speaking about, mental health and how it affects them even being in that role in their life, obviously, that's really reassuring for a lot of us. With that positivity, coronavirus, yeah, shit is still around. California breaking its highest daily coronavirus record with 8,000 confirmed cases. Dr. Fauci warning that you could see the U.S. having 100,000 coronavirus cases a day if this type of surge continues. New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut are requiring a 14-day self-quarantine for anybody traveling from states with high percentage rates like Florida, California, and Texas. It's just absolutely wild. I know in New York and Jersey, we were looking forward to also obviously being able to dine indoors, I guess. I mean, I wasn't personally, I didn't trust it yet, but that was the next phase of reopening, and now they've started to push that back in lieu of what's going on, around the country. I know we're kind of spread out all over the country as far as people watching and tuned in for this, but I think I saw 37 states around the country all seeing sharp increases in coronavirus. Joe Paul, I know you said you love Fauci, man. Fuck you, anti-science jerk-offs. Yeah, man, I agree. I think it's interesting. What up, you cake? It's interesting that we knew this was going to happen. I love how people are so shocked and surprised, but there were guidelines that were set out, and I hate to be that guy that says I told you so, but there were guidelines that were set out. It means you exactly reiterate, man. We knew that would happen. There were guidelines that were set out by the White House, by the scientists that were put in charge of this. And the states decided to, not follow those guidelines, with the exception of a few. Obviously, New York and Jersey were very strict on it, and now we are, reaping the benefits of it. We are, now only one of a handful of a few states that aren't seeing these sharp increases. It's absolutely crazy. And yeah, was there a lot of bitching and moaning of people? Oh, Cuomo's, trying to, be a communist or whatever. And these Governor Murphy, all these people. But look at us now. We're in a better position because we, sat there and got ahead of it. Love, we don't see. You said the funny thing is, I don't think we closing up. Government seems like it decided we've lost too much money already. That's the fucking sad part about it, is that the government obviously is valuing the almighty dollar above the lives of us. You know what I'm saying? The guy in Florida, if it's not mistaken, Ron DeSantis, was doubling down on the fact that he's not going to reclose things up, even though we're seeing Florida get out of control. It's very obvious, what they care about. I mean, they did stop bars from being able to open in Florida and serve alcohol, which obviously is going to help the crowding issue, but still, I mean, obviously it's out of control right now. Sully, you said North Carolina just extended phase 2, just made it mandatory to wear a mask last week. It's bringing condoms to a baby shower. That's probably the best analogy that I've heard for this thing. It's bringing condoms to a baby shower. Man, we gonna drop one of Clues bombs for that one right there, man. Bringing condoms to a baby shower. But let's move on to some good news now. Okay, so Last week, I was talking about Elijah McClain. He's the 23-year-old who was killed at the hands of the police in Aurora, Colorado last year. I know a lot of you have been seeing his name trending on the internet. He was, the violinist. He was, if I'm not mistaken, a massage therapist. He would play violins for some of the animals at the shelter. Just like overall, seems like a really, really good kid, and was killed for no reason whatsoever by the police. So, I mean, obviously this again is not enough, but at least we are seeing some sort of action being taken towards that, So last week, basically, I think when I recorded this episode for last week, it had just happened. The governor of Colorado actually assigned a special prosecutor to reopen the case, basically, and look back into it to see what actually happened. Tiana, you said that story broke your soul. I agree. Yeah, that was. Man, it just keeps getting worse and worse, right? Like, they're all depressing, they're all extremely sad, and they all hit different. And it's like this case right here with Elijah McClain, like all the things people want to say, they want to bring up the past of a lot of these other people that have unfortunately been victims and things like that. George Floyd, to bring up his past as if that somehow negates what the police did. But Elijah McClain was a good kid. There's nothing else you could slice about it. He was just a really good kid and did not deserve to go out that way. Not to say that anybody else did, but all those arguments are now null and void when it comes to this. This was just a good kid, and it took us a year to hear about this case. And what I will say is a bit of comfort and a bit of motivation for us all to keep up the fight is when asked about why the case now was beginning to be reopened, it was cited that one of the big causes was a petition that was started by Change.org that had over 2 million signatures calling for action, for Elijah McClain's death. So for everybody that, gets frustrated and is like, oh, I'm tired of signing petitions, I'm tired of doing all these different things, recognize that it does matter and even it makes a difference. That a big reason why this case got so much of the attention and now is being looked into again is because of all of us speaking about it and taking the time to sign those petitions and being proactive. And Joe Paul, absolutely, man. Breonna Taylor, her killers are still out there with no justice, so we have to make sure we keep speaking her name out there. Love, we don't see. You said LA just passed a law to create a response team, to respond to nonviolent crimes. Yeah, San Francisco, if I'm not mistaken, did the same thing. I love that. Having a really special, skilled group of people who are unarmed and are there to treat, nonviolent calls like mental health issues and the homeless and things like that is absolutely amazing, because we won't have to worry about that situation escalating into one where police decide they're going to open fire on somebody, for no real reason whatsoever. And on the conversation of us, taking charge and taking power into our own hands, and I was talking about the petition, all the people signing it. I actually wanted to hop on real quick with my guy, Hector Oseguera, who's running for Congress here in New Jersey. His election's actually next week. And he's somebody from the community running to represent the community. And I just want to put him out there because I think this is an example of something that, we should all be inspired, to do, or even if we're not wanting to get involved in politics, but to support those who, are putting themselves out there on the front lines to have change for us. So, I wanted to celebrate Hector and give him a platform to kind of just speak on a lot of shit that we've been seeing and hopefully inspire some others to get involved in the same way that he did. We're talking about things, people getting involved and making, actions and taking steps to change the community. Hector, I mean, you're one of those guys who is doing it, man. And first and foremost, congratulations on everything thus far, man. All the attention you've been receiving is well deserved. I've been seeing your name bouncing around all around town, trending on Twitter and everything. So it's great to see that, man. So first and foremost, congrats.
No doubt. Thank you, man. Yeah, it's been a lot of hard work, but hard work does pay off, and thankfully, it seems like things are on an upward swing for us. A lot of people in the community are excited about what's going on, and it does mean a lot to me. So thank you, bro.
Absolutely, brother. So, I mean, real quick, the election is Tuesday, July 7th?
Yep.
Here in New Jersey. So obviously, this year has really shown a lot of the big issues within this country, man. It's poked a lot of the holes. It's magnified a lot of things that you've been speaking on. But, what have you seen this year that is painfully obvious to you that you know really needs to change and you hope to do when you're in office?
Yes, so there's a lot of crises that have exploded due to COVID right now. The first one being a health crisis. Obviously, when there's a pandemic going around, people who are walking around without insurance, it becomes a very big problem because these people could be infected. They could be walking around infecting other people and they don't even know about it and are afraid to find out because if they do find out, they're going to get a big bill associated with that. So, something big with COVID is that all these crises kind of existed beforehand. None of this is new, but the fact that we're all experiencing this pandemic kind of amplifies those problems. So the first one being a public health crisis. The second one is a housing crisis, because if you're out of work, you're going to find it very hard to pay your rent. And what I was really afraid of is that at the end of this crisis, landlords would tell people, well, you got to pay 3 months of rent, 4 months of rent, and people who have not been working are not going to be able to pay that. And again, this is a crisis that pre-existed COVID, that a lot of other people were willing to kind of look the other way if it wasn't affecting them personally. But now a lot of people see it happening to them and their family and their friends, and they're starting to say like, wow, this is a real big issue. And the final issue that kind of became a crisis during COVID is this social justice crisis of police brutalizing Black and brown people, which we all know is not new. This is not, George Floyd was not an isolated incident, something that's been going on for a long time. But the simple matter is that with people stuck at home, with people kind of tuning into the news every single day, they have more time to pay attention to these systematic issues that have been affecting us for a very long time. And thankfully, people were able to organize and to get together and to say that, they're sick of seeing these things go on and we're willing to organize around these issues. I really do think that, with COVID going on, we had so many crises explode all at the same time. Economic crisis, a health crisis, a housing crisis, and now a social justice crisis. And so these are all issues, like I said, that have needed attention for a very long time, but people have just not been tuned into those issues.
Amazing, man. Well, listen, everybody who's eligible in New Jersey, go out there and vote for Hector on Tuesday, July 7th. Where can they check out more information as far as like your specific policies and all that kind of stuff?
So anybody who hears what I said and is interested, they could go to Oseguera2020.com. That's my handle. My last name, Oseguera2020.com. That's my handle on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Anybody who thinks that they want to make change in Hudson County, in the 8th Congressional District of New Jersey, and is excited about change coming to our government, thinks that maybe we need a little bit more younger people in office, check me out, get involved. You could volunteer. We are working very hard.
I appreciate it, my dude. But listen, best of luck, bro. Anything you need, obviously, you can always reach out. But I wish you the best of luck. I'm excited to hear your name announced as the winner next week.
No doubt, bro. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate you, Dramos.
All right, my dude.
Be easy, man.
Absolutely. Man, so that's some good stuff, some heartwarming stuff. Now we got to get on to, unfortunately, all the bad that's happening right now over this last week. All right, so all the bad that's happening. I don't want to talk about this too much and dwell on it, but we have to address Donald Trump retweeting a fucking white supremacist. So it's obviously not anything new. It's not going to be anything that should be surprising or shocking to anybody, but unfortunately, it's the reality of the world that we live in, and it's why it's so important that we come out and vote in November. So Donald Trump retweeted a video. It looked like it was at a protest or some sort of rally that was happening in Florida at a retirement community. And clear as day, within the first few seconds of the video, you hear a man yell, "White power." So Trump is obviously denying the fact that he heard the person say white power. He still hasn't apologized. The White House is officially saying he didn't hear it. But his caption in that post was the great people of the villages. So he was basically bigging up those people over there that were, saying white power. So obviously not a shocker when it comes to our president of the United States, unfortunately. Urban legend Anatemi said Trump is crazy. He'll say anything to get them votes. Yeah, absolutely. He gives no fucks whatsoever. And obviously he doesn't rebuke what's being said because he knows that that these people are in fact, his followers, his base. So it's absolutely just disgusting. One of the other things I did want to get to as well in terms of bad things. And at least this is like, I don't want to say it's on a lighter note because it unfortunately involves somebody who's no longer with us, but Pop Smoke, the album cover that Virgil Abloh designed for his posthumous album, and it was met, rightfully so, with a lot of critique, a lot of debate, and it just looked like something that he threw together last minute, very disrespectful. Apparently, according to Pop Smoke's team, he was a big fan of Virgil, and kind of dreamed of him doing his album cover, so Virgil did it. And bro, it just looked like it was like a hack job done by an amateur graphic designer. And Virgil just, man, zero effort, Ice Mees, I agree. Virgil's just been taking some L's out here, and it's just disrespectful. You could tell, the dude really didn't have, that much heart in doing this project and doing it for Pop Smoke. So he did a little post and delete on that cover art. And now we're being told we're gonna get a new cover art when it comes to that. With that said, man, I want to keep it moving into this week's big question. So I know a lot of people have been talking about this one. I've already had some people alluding to it, wanting to get into the conversation. So let's just fucking talk about it. August Alsina, his interview with Angela Yee aired on the Breakfast Club this week. And in it, he talks about not only dating Jada Pinkett while she's married to Will Smith, but also getting Will's blessing for dating her. And from what he's saying, it was like a real relationship. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was like, the real thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, so he was actually in love with Jada. It wasn't just like hooking up, kind of casual thing. So I'm curious. My big question this week is, have you ever been in a open relationship, or could you possibly see yourself being in an open relationship? Jerome, you said it's only July and Jada has already been through all. We're gonna drop on the clues bombs. I like the little jokes right there, man. I'm here for the jokes. Joe Paul, you said cuckold swinging. Ice Bees, you feel like he said minus the sex, they had a relationship. Yeah, that's what's interesting about this whole thing when it comes to Will and Jada, because from what it sounds like, it's like they actually removed the sex completely from their marriage, and they're just like partners who live together, and I guess are like an emotional support system for one another and raise their kids together. I'll say this: the idea in theory sounds incredible. Like, I can have the companionship of a wife, I can do all the cool things you get to do in a relationship, and then I get to do all the cool things you get to do when you're single. It sounds fantastic, but I don't see how that is just like a tangible thing to last over time, because I think I might be I'm personally probably too jealous for that. Like, if I knew my girl was out there with another dude, it would definitely be an issue. Now let's see. Ninja Gilly, you said, was it Ninja Gilby? You said yes to an open relationship. You dated a man who was also dating a woman. You all hung out and got along. You even became best friends with her. Damn, I mean, listen, you're better than me. You're a lot stronger than me, because I don't think I could handle that type of relationship. But I mean, you see, like, for some people it works. But like, so Ninja, was it ever like a point where you got jealous though? Like, that maybe he was hanging with her on a Saturday night and you wanted to have that intimate time on a Saturday night? And what happens on holidays, like Valentine's Day? Who gets who on Valentine's Day? Do you guys like split up the main holidays? Who goes to whose family's house? Like, how serious of a thing is it, or is it just messing around? Let me see. Ice Means, you said that's weird as fuck in your opinion. Kurt Carr, you said fuck nah, I'll just stay single. I would agree with that. If you guys want to go live on this, we can do that as well. I want to hear people's opinions. You can hop on my live and we'll talk about it. Send me a request. Sandy Living Out Loud, you said a lot of people don't care about being faithful in a marriage anymore, sadly. Yeah, I agree. I mean, listen, in my past, I probably would have like judged certain things like that, right? But at the end of the day, it's like to each his own. I can't tell you how to live your life. But yeah, I mean, to me, isn't that the point of getting married? Is to know that that's like your one and only person, like that's your person, and the idea of sharing them around, I feel like kind of taints that whole concept. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like one of those things where it's like, if she's my girl, then that means like, what I have is just hers, and what she has is just mine. To me, that's what I would kind of feel. Let me see. Ice Me, you said makes no sense to you, but they're rich. Us broke folks can't understand. Yeah, I mean, definitely, you gotta have some money to be able to entertain two two relationships at one time. That shit gets expensive. All right, we're gonna go live here. Let's see. What up, Jade?
Hey, what's up?
How you doing?
Hopping on to comment on that and just say it's a no over this way.
Yeah, I mean, as somebody with a family, I mean, I can imagine you would have a perspective on this.
Yeah. But I also wonder if, the whole celebrity aspect of it plays into it at all. Money, weirdness, I don't know. Because you like to think that, you're one way. And if you were in their situation, maybe they have a different perspective based on some of the things they've seen. So I don't judge it. It's just, it's a no over here.
Well, so you think that maybe the money and the celebrity makes it harder to keep up that like normal marriage, you're thinking?
Not necessarily, but I think that it allows for some like weird quirks. I don't know, like hall passes or whatever they do that works for them.
Right.
Maybe he wasn't feeling it at the time and he was like, you can go, take care of yours. And then they just made it a family affair. I don't know.
Well, I appreciate your perspective. I think you and I are on the same page over here.
Yeah, I'm dying on the memes online, though. They are cracking me up.
I live for it. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Listen, I think the moral of the story is to each his own. I like Jade's perspective that she thinks celebrity allows for some sort of weirdness, like hall passes and things like that. But yeah, that's it, man. Thank y'all so much. We're going to get into my interview with this week's guest, Theophilus London. Thank y'all so much. Man, my guest tonight has a brand new album out called Bebe, featuring tracks alongside legends like Raekwon and Tame Impala. In the past, he's been a frequent collaborator with people like Kanye West, and you've even seen him modeling for brands like Louis Vuitton and The Gap. Theophilus London, welcome, my dude.
What's going on? How you guys feeling? Thanks for having me.
Of course, man, of course. So, first and foremost, bro, congrats on the new project, man. How we feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good, man. What are we in the third quarter right now?
Yep.
I'll say I woke up feeling successful this morning, and just like every other morning.
I find it super interesting. This is your first project in years, obviously. First full body of work. I read a kind of online. I'm not sure. I think it was Billboard that did a really good article on you, man. And when they were kind of just talking about where you've been these last few years and the journey you kind of went on to find yourself. So first and foremost, I kind of want to go back to what led you to going on that journey, because at one point, man, from the outside looking in, it's like you had everything that every aspiring artist would have ever wanted, right? You got the major label deal that you're told you need to have. You got the cosigns from the Kanyes of the world. You talk about having sit downs with Jay and he's bigging you up. You know what I mean? But you also talk about being unhappy. So kind of talk to me about that time period in your life, man.
Man, that's a great great change up. Yeah, man, that was inspiring because I aspire to tell this story that, when any of my fellow artists or even a guy that's younger than me, gets to that roadblock and he has to press the reset button. I just, to start to the front of your question, I got bored. I already knew what the ride was. I knew what the roller coaster looked like. I knew how many loops that it had, the highs and the lows, and the line got bigger and bigger. My schedule got wider, and it was a very unorthodox schedule. I've taken a break. I spoke to a lot of artists about this, like taking a 4-year hiatus, like I took. That time I needed to refine myself. Because I was 28 years old. I remember walking into a movie theater. I started frequenting movie theaters because I was like, man, I work in entertainment. I work in, people being excited to party and eat nightlife and the highest level of it. I'm like, I'm out in New York. So that's why I was calling myself NY Theo. I'm like, Virgil and Kanye coming to town. They're like, Theo, what's going on tonight? I'm like, X, Y, Z. See you all there. And like, so then, I got out of the loop, man. I started fucking just wearing a Carhartt, like some Dior jeans, some Jordan, just trying to stay out the way. Like, how do I stay out the way? I'm fucking tall. So I lived in Rhode Island. I would come into the city, like a 2 p.m. bus. It was sometimes the Dominican bus, sometimes the Amtrak, depending on the label spending that day. And I would just ran up the budget, man, like staying disciplined, like moving to Rhode Island at some cabin and then coming to New York, recording, going back to Rhode Island. I wrote Bebe in McDonald's on downtown Brooklyn. I wrote Pretty, like on the train headed to New York, and I just stayed in the McDonald's until it was time to go back home. I didn't want to see nobody, talk to nobody. So I was really undercover. So I was like, man, this is my last, I already knew it. I'm like that kid that wanted to hand in the homework late. I'm like, okay, I'm coming on my 4th year in my hiatus. You know, like the first 2 years, 3 years, you just want to party and hang out, you know, chill at the Williamsburg Loft, girls, partying. You know, then I just felt like, man, it's time. This is the last year.
Do you think this whole experience changed your perspective on what success is?
Man, that's a great fucking question. That's true, man. I mean, success to me now is like, you know, growing up. I guess what I was saying, you know, I had to like come to terms with that. I'm a grown ass man, you know? Like I haven't come to terms with that. I thought I was like just still this like young kid walking around like euphorically thinking and whatever. It's like some of my ideas work, you know, I'm getting success. You know, even though I'm not taking a designer route or Trinidad James, you know, big route right away, overnight. I'm like building, you know, I'm over here. I never sat down with Pharrell yet. I loved him. You know, so I'm still building and I love that about me. But you know, my ego started building and like, you know, like my hair started growing out and like I just stopped having fun with it. You know, like when I was a kid, like too much money became involved and you know, people were sad or greedy just over the money and it became like this like chronological order business. You know, and I had a lot of fun with it too, but like, you know, once I got out of the music, all my checks were fashion checks. All my checks were like technology checks or like post Burger King and they'll give me $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. Post DJ Khaled's Ciroc. You know what I'm saying? And like, you know, that wasn't it for me. I'm like, man, I want to be talked about with the Tame Impalas, with the Frank Oceans, with the Tyler, the Creator. You know, like I need to do a reset. Like niggas think because I wore this hat, like this a joke. Like I'm on some like, nah, like I don't, you know, I have a you about to get corny alert, quote unquote, in my head. And like that shit started ringing. I see people walking in the street. Like I know this nigga's gonna say hi to me because he had a top hat, you know. But you know, that's my message for that.
No, it's all about personal growth. You know what I'm saying, and maturing, man. And I love that you're on that journey and you're arriving at a good place in life. So I mean, you know, as we kind of start to wrap things up, I know you're close to Virgil, so I was curious about your take because you know Virgil, you know about his artistry, and you've seen it firsthand. Did you see the Pop Smoke album cover that Virgil designed?
Yeah, I did.
What did you think? Because a lot of people were kind of like felt like Virgil didn't put any effort towards it. But I'm curious, like somebody that knows him the way you do and the way his creative process is. What's your take on after seeing it?
I was gonna hit you with the no comment. I love the culture. I love the kids. You know, I spoke to Virgil about for like an hour. As soon as it happened, like we're fast. I already could predict what the comments are gonna be, and it's like, so if I can speak on that. Well, so you're asking me personally, did I like the art?
Yeah, I mean, do you like you? I mean, you know,
I think it was whack that like Steven Victor pulled the cover in 3 hours over Twitter. Like to my knowledge, he didn't hit up anybody behind the scene. He reacted off Twitter. And when you're doing a project this big in front of the world, it's like if Pop died, like Suge Knight or whoever, if Dr. Dre would not let that happen, or like the Hood or everyone other than his family and his mother don't get to be a part of that first. Like this isn't about 50 Cent not making good music. Like he's gonna be on a fucking shit too. Well, I think Pop wanted that. Pop's first fashion week was Louis Vuitton. Virgil, via Virgil, that was an IG tweet. He hit him up on DM. Come to Paris. I'm gonna dress you. Bang bang. So those photos, that video. Go. Come to Paris. We're gonna eat here. We're gonna go to Arthur's car lot. We're gonna take these cars out. Quavo's with him. They shot a video. Fine. Everybody wants to be like, yo, Virgil, I want you to do my shit, my artwork. Virgil's a friend of mine, so I always knew he had that indecency. But Virgil, that talent. But Virgil would even sometimes, he's such a creative director now. When you become a boss, like you got somebody else doing it for you. So you just on the phone, like, all right, change that. Like, you know what I mean? I got a couple. We like to call him my guy. I got my guy that's an engineer, and hopefully my guy is fucking loyal because we cooking sauce. But Virgil got his little team sitting at the Louis headquarters. That's from the Off-White team. That's from the Kanye. And, what I'm saying? From those days, like even like Samuel Ross, who does a Cold War. I remember he was Virgil's head assistant, and he did all the Vibes artwork for me that Karl Lagerfeld helped us turn in. So, so I don't know, touch the laptop, but that's up to him to answer. But I do see what he was trying to do. I mean, that's still a team thing. So it's like, mind you, I'm mad at Steven Victor. Like, why are we looking at the artwork? Where's his family at? And Steven Victor, to me, is going by the wrong playbook. You got Louis Vuitton Virgil. He's setting up fashion shows like for two different brands a year. This guy's a monster. We know that. We know he's not going to do Pop Smoke wrong. Virgil is not a guy that says, yo, turn in a fucking cover. Second, he's been rocking with y'all for years. Pusha, the whole good music. Like, Virgil is a talent. So you got Mr. Louis V making a memorial T-shirt for Pop Smoke. Come on, like, I want that T-shirt more than any of the bullshit I've seen. That 50 Cent now making this a circus show. And to be honest, I'm pretty upset because this guy's put in so much years of work. So all those years of work, motherfuckers made money off his Jordan 1s, all this to feed their family or whatever they have you, or they didn't wear Off-White or just love it that they made their own brand now. Or whatever the case is, like, he's been there for them, for the Kanye records. He pushed that shit on the art. The Watch the Throne is all him, the art direction. You see, but the controversial shit is, I didn't like the Virgil cover when I first saw it. Again, I did not like it when I first seen it. But then I kept looking at it. And I was like, oh, okay, this is like almost changing the game. He's an artist. You don't put something up at the moment and then 3 hours later, because the crowd was like, boo, you take it down. The fact the crowd said, boo, let's sleep on that overnight. That's a reaction. Now, nobody didn't give a fuck about Pop Smoke album. Rest in peace to the guy. I'm from Brooklyn. I'm mad at the label. That's their fault. Pop's not allowed to do that, to make us give a fuck.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting what you're saying. I like that perspective. I think what you're saying is, even if Steven Victor and that team had an issue with the cover, they should have addressed it before trying to make it public and putting it out there for the rest of the world to judge and take away.
Pop would have wanted. Guess what? Pop would have wanted the music to be fired first.
Right.
Pop would have wanted the art. Like, come on, like, let Pop love Virgil. We trying to understand what Virgil was saying. You know what I'm saying? Like, and now I'm seeing covers that we look like we would have designed 10 years ago. So it's like, that's the merch I was. Come on, man. So I don't like that. Like, Virgil, come on, he fending for Ye, all these and whatever. Like, it's so easy to say, fuck Virgil, but it's like, really? Like, okay, watch when the Penguin returns. But I don't know, bro. I'm on my guy's side because, shameless promotion. We got a collection coming out August 18th.
Yeah.
And I want to show you that right now. Hold on real quick.
Yeah, do you think?
Really proud of these, man, because, now we're 2020, man, where a rap verse now could be a shoe you release, you know what I'm saying? Right. Yeah, this fire. Is right here, man, like premium leather, my album artwork, and I've been designing these boots for like 4 years,
That's
putting
dope.
A lot of shit, yeah.
So that's a collab with Virgil?
Yeah, it's a collaboration with Virgil. He basically just gave me the keys to the office and was like, yo, man, do whatever you want to do. I'm over here at Louis.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, that's like beautiful. And I like that you said it, because I think it's easy to look at the internet conversations and like people trying to trash him. But now you're showing us a different side of it, where he got put in a position of power and now he's opening the door for somebody else like you to come in and be a part of that and to, use your creativity to spark the next thing. So that's super interesting to see. And that's a cool insight to see how Virgil works as well. So is that August you're saying that's going to come out, the collab?
Yes, sir.
And then obviously Bebe is out right now, the project. Anything else you could talk about that you want to promote, that you want people to check out?
Check out my new label, My Baby Records. Follow us. We're signing artists.
I love my dude. Listen, bro, I appreciate you for sitting down and having a conversation, man. I've been a big fan for a minute, so I'm excited to see what you keep on doing, man, now that you're back and out there and motivated.
Perfect, dude. Well, I had a great time. Thanks for having me.
Nah, I appreciate you, bro. Stay safe, or I'll talk to you soon. So this week's final words are inspired by my interview with Theo, and usually that's kind of the case. For whatever reason, the interview kind of sparks an idea in my head and words of inspiration. But one of the things I really enjoyed about it, one of the reasons I really wanted to sit down with him, was sort of this idea that he basically had everything that everybody ever dreams of. He had access to the biggest stars in the world, was doing these fashion campaigns, making a lot of money, able to do music on the highest level, and came to this point where he realized that even though he had, quote unquote, everything, he still wasn't happy, and he had to press that reset button and kind of go away from it all and really find himself once again. I love how he talked about, it's a bit of growing up, but I also think it's a bit of redefining what the word success means. I think this is something that I'm big on because I feel like so many of us get obsessed with what the idea of success is supposed to be. It's the money, it's the cars, it's the fame, the attention. But the reality is, none of those things really mean success. They more so just represent something. And what they represent is freedom, right? That's really what you're talking about. When you're talking about having tons of money, well, what does that do? Money allows you to kind of do the things you feel like doing. And fame gives you access and all these different things. But we saw with him and his example, he talks about his schedule and all these different things and like the things he was doing, to make money as far as, influencer posting and things like that. He realized that, this isn't the life that he wants to lead, that the freedom you're supposed to get from those things he wasn't receiving. He didn't have the ability or the time or the freedom to do what he wanted to do. He had a label telling him what he should be doing music-wise and things like that. And that's why I think it's important for us to redefine our definition of success. The reality is success really should be looked at as having the ultimate freedom to, on a regular basis, wake up every day doing what you want when you want. Now, obviously, it's unrealistic to live that way every single minute of your life, but real success means that the majority of your days are made up of doing that. And that's how we have to think about it in our head. And I feel like, the second we start realizing that and start making that our main focus, the second we really give ourselves an opportunity to find actual happiness and really focus in and hone in on the things that make us happy, and that's just something to keep in mind. That's just my takeaway from this, and I'm just sharing it with you, and hopefully it, sparks something in your head the way it did for me when it comes to chasing our goals or chasing our dreams and kind of realizing, that there are levels to this whole thing, and you can find happiness and success and not necessarily have to be at this ultimate, level that we always kind of think that's the only way to be successful. You define it for yourself. And if you can wake up every day doing what you want to do and for the most part follow your own schedule, man, you found a lot of success and freedom that some of the people you watch on TV haven't even been able to find yet. So with that, I thank y'all once again, man, for tuning into this week's episode, What the World Needs Now. And as usual, I'll leave you with these last few words. Remember, it doesn't have to be lonely at the top. We are all in this together, man. Appreciate y'all. I'll see you next week. Bye.